So we do have two folks with us tonight who are also amazing individuals. We have Bob Kinney, who is an educator for the Bristol Township School District, and we have Demita. Demita is what doesn't Demita do in Bucks County?
I always find out something new that she's doing every time I talk to her.
So, Demita Harvey, thank you for being with us. Bob Kinney, thank you for being with us. If you both just want to take a moment to tell us who you are, Bob, if you want to start.
Yeah, so like Nick said, I am a health teacher at FDR Middle School in Bristol Township School District. I work with all of our 6th and 8th grade students on providing health education throughout the school year.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. And thanks for being here. And Demita, how about you?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Demita Harvey, and I am the prevention manager at No Longer Bound. I also do some coordinating with the Bristol Cares Coalition, and I am a mom, and I'm currently homeschooling. So I thought that was important to share as well.
It absolutely is. So you both are advocates for the community as well, not just in terms of mental health. But Bob, you definitely are one of the most focused on mental health in the education system, at least in Bristol Township, that I have met. And I'm curious as to why, or what drives you to be the educator that you are, having your, walks at FDR, having your kids develop flyers about mental health conditions. What drives you to do that?
So I would say it's the personal experiences that I've had. 5 years ago, I tragically lost my dad in a car accident. And following that event, I didn't really take care of my mental health in the right way. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it for a few months. And then as I started to teach I was at the time teaching at Truman High School, we covered some topics like loss and grief and depression. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that I was dealing with a lot of those things. And then shortly thereafter, another tragic event, friends of ours lost a sibling to suicide, and having a front row seat to seeing how that impacted that family really kind of gave me a different mission as far as a health teacher goes, because I realized I could impact my students with some personal experience and really bring and put a real life face to mental health and suicide prevention. So it's something that just through those two events, I've really developed a want to educate my students and to help them understand that there are resources out there, because I think that's the biggest thing. They might know about the resources, but they definitely don't know how to access them, and sometimes they're not comfortable accessing them. And one of the big things for me, and Nick, you were involved in this, you came in and presented the Ending the Silence program in my classroom, and I will never forget the day. It was first period of the day. And we had a student who was about to go on to second period, and I could tell that your presentation had really impacted that student. And you had a conversation with that student, and I was able to alert our counselors to, a concern of mine for that student. And I think we really prevented a crisis for that student, and we were able to get that student some support that they needed. So just those things really continue to drive me to educate our students and to provide them with opportunities to learn about mental illness and to feel comfortable talking about both mental illness and suicide prevention.
I mean, could we ask for a better advocate? And Bob, I will never forget that day. And it's been really nice to work with you, and between you asking to have resources dropped off, you signed up for QPR, which thank you, I appreciate that. And that is a program that the Bucks County Suicide Prevention Task Force delivers, this time as a host through NAMI.
Yeah. No, Bob, I was just at Penridge High School today, and when I had attended, I lost a close friend, and I struggled. Like Nick said earlier, you don't have to have a mental illness to struggle with your mental health. And I think you're a great example of why that conversation needs to be normal, right? Because we all struggle. We all have grief. We all have difficult things in our lives. We don't need to suffer with that alone. I suffered with that alone for a long time after I lost my friend who died by suicide. And today I was at Penridge and seeing them talk about it, seeing them talk about mental health, and you were there, like, I couldn't have been more moved. I couldn't have been more proud, frankly, of my community, because, you know, that is exactly the kind of conversation we need to have. And Demita, I wanted to let you introduce yourself now that, but as a student, as a former student who graduated, who cares about this issue, I really appreciate, Bob, that you've committed so hard to this. And Demita, could you just introduce yourself and tell us about yourself some more?
Sure. Again, sorry, hearing a little feedback. Sorry. So as a prevention manager of No Longer Bound, our goal is to for community empowerment and addressing drug use and alcohol use and also other antisocial behaviors. Through that, we work on providing education. So some of the things we focus on with our students are making sure that they understand their emotions, their emotional health. We want to make sure they understand their mental health, and also the importance of knowing themselves. We want them to have a better understanding of who they are themselves, what their needs are, what their hopes are, what their desires are, and also understanding the importance of self-love, kindness, and learning resiliency skills. Why this is important to me is I remember having an extremely lonely childhood, and for years, years never having friends, years being the person that people were always picking on. You know, if it wasn't what I was wearing, it was what I said or how I talked. So it was a very, very lonely childhood. And as I began, and actually it took me a long time to get over that. After my grandmother passed, it was really, really hard for me. And during her funeral, our pastor had said that, you know, what's important is that dash, right? The dash from the day you're born and what happens till the day you pass. And that was like more of a defining moment for me of what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to make a difference? I wanted that dash in my life to mean something. And then I also wanted children to not feel alone, to not feel like I felt as a child. And to have hope, have dreams, and have desires, and know that just because they live in a certain community, that doesn't define who they are. And as a parent, I feel that it's even more important that, you know, we talk to our children about how they're feeling, what their emotions are, because they need that safe space, right? So as community leaders, we need to also open up those conversations with our students. How are they feeling? Why are they feeling that way? How to express their feelings effectively. And then also just having those conversations so that when those tough things do come up, that they have an opening. They know they have someone that they can go and talk to. So we want them to be sharing their feelings openly so that if they are in a crisis situation, that there's someone, they know that there's someone there and that they're not alone. So.
Yeah.
And I think you spend so much time, Demita, connecting the community together. The first time I had heard of you was through the summer fun camp. And that was one of the things that we started together. And then we were working together through a lot of other programs. And there's one program that you lead for us right now at NAMI, if you want to take a second to talk about that.
Awesome. So recently started, it's now called Black Minds Matter. And the reason why I wanted to be involved in that is because in our community, we don't really talk about mental health. We don't really talk about how people are feeling. Also mental health, it's just something that we just don't talk about. Yeah. So, you know, I was talking to Nick and I know as soon as he decided they were going to do the Black Minds Matter, I was like, I wanted to be a part of that because I felt like I wanted to be there for my community. I actually wanted to be, and I feel that through those conversations that we have each week, that I grow, they grow, and it's a place where we can express our feelings without feeling judged. Just because, you know, being a Black woman or being a Black person in this day and age, I mean, that carries a lot of weight, that carries a lot of baggage. And there's sometimes that we need to talk about things that other people might not understand. Not that all support groups don't help, but sometimes, having someone that can identify with you is helpful in that space. And it's a
safe
space
space.
where a safe space. Where you
And
can
community
just-
led, I think that was the key. That was what was so impressive about this Black Minds Matter group. Because suicide, just because the issue of mental health and suicide is broad, we tend to think that means that just because I've had experience, I can talk to anybody. But you're always going to have different experiences from other people. You're always going to vary in your context, right? Even in your community, and we need people who, even though you have that connection and you can share that connection and empathize, we still need people to have those other experiences who can talk to people in their community who can relate and bring the support to them and have that conversation with them, because we can't just ride into any town and have that conversation ourselves.
Yeah, it helps to know that there are, and what we were hoping to do with that group, and I think with you, Demita, and Reggie and Deanna, we've succeeded with, is creating a safe space.
Yeah.
A safe space where
Exactly.
people don't have to come in and explain anything and just sit down and get the support that they need. Or in this case, come on camera. So
Definitely. And I feel that the people who come to the meetings each week, and it's a group, they come each week, and we're building that community. We're having those conversations about things that matter and, how they're feeling about it. So it's a wonderful resource. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Demita, for everything
Thank you.
that you do.
No, well, thank both of you, honestly, for being here tonight. What both of you are doing is so incredible, and we are thrilled to be just to know you, and then to obviously being able to partner with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you need an example of community leaders who are advocates for mental health, need look no further than Demita and Bob. Give them an email or anything if you have questions about how they do what they do and do it so well. So thank
All
you
right.
both.
Thank you both so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Hope is not canceled.
Hope is
What
not
is that? I
canceled.